Hey Internet, I'm me, and wow, I'm really red in this. Maybe the color will die out, whatever. Um, sorry, been busy. Been watching Tokyuger and Kamen Rider God. Great. Both episodes this week for Superhero Time was amazing. They were both amazing. I liked both episodes. But I'm not here to talk about those episodes. Here to talk about the Lionsgate reboot of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. Now, with this being speculated and thrown around a lot with this announcement, I've even had people actually ask me, did you try out for the part? And, like, would you go for the part? I would go for the part. I'm going to keep my ear to the wall for announcements of auditions, of course. However, I don't think anybody's been auditioned yet. I don't think anybody has been casted yet. So even for that, it's like, for the whole, are you in it? Do you have a part? It's like they've just announced it. They probably don't even have a script. Yeah, whenever they say they announce a remake, that means somebody says basically, hey, wouldn't it be cool? And then like the producer goes, yeah, we could do it, you know. And then the dude's like, let me totally do it. And then they write a check. Then the producer writes a check and goes, here's your money, bro. Well, no. If it's an announcement, it's like, all right, sign this. It's announced. We're doing a reboot. And of course, the reboot can fall through. The reboot can it can go many different ways. It can go from budget being very high to budget being very low. It could go from being an adaptation of the TV series to being completely anything else. It could be getting the old cast back, which is never mind impossible. The entire cast back is impossible. Um, to just getting some of the characters back for a cameo while the rest are gone. It could be anything. It could be anything. Basically, we can even see it happen like reshoots, and I mean drastic reshoots, meaning like different takes of Power Rangers being made. And I've been hearing a lot of speculations of, will they make it darker? Will they make it grittier? And I have to say my piece on this because as a huge Power Ranger slash Super Sentai fan, I really gotta say no. No, 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 don't do no. No. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't make it darker. Don't make it grittier. You can make I'm sorry, I'm lying. You can make it darker. You don't make it grittier. And this is what I mean. Okay, darker. Darker is it's not what you think, basically, most of the time. Some people have a very good grasp of what is a darker story compared to a lighter story. A lighter story is, let's say, a lighter story is the ending of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or is the beginning of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And if you know anything about Power Rangers, the darker end is when Mighty Morphin Power Rangers ends. And if you know anything about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, how it ended, when they moved on to Zeo, it's not light. You have the opening where it's "Get me," that famous line of Zordon going, "Get me 5 teenagers with attitude." You know, very campy, very fun. But end of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is the base is getting ripped apart. Bad guys have gotten inside. Zordon is forced to retreat. Rangers fight the best they can, but they don't really win. Um, they kind of get their asses kicked, and they need the Zeo crystals to help them basically survive another day. And the season ends with basically them losing their base, but having new powers. Like these new crystals will help, but we kind of got our asses kicked, and we gotta come back. We gotta get back up on the horse. The power coins are all destroyed. Um, we don't have our old powers anymore. That's what happened at the end of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That's what happened, and I don't think many people remember that. And that was dark. That is dark. That is a dark storyline. A dark storyline is the villain one. We got a small victory out of this larger victory. You don't need to be. People think dark and they think Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight. That's Batman dark. Batman's dark, and especially when you say brooding and dark. That's Batman's brooding and Batman's dark. The one thing nobody gets about Batman is that he is the like here's real dark and then here's Batman. Like all the way over there. Yeah, he left the screen. Like Spawn technically isn't that dark as Batman if you think about it. Like without Spawn fighting demons all the time, he wouldn't be that fucking dark. Like mentally. Like fucking Batman is a lot more dry-wittedly brooding and dark and darker than Spawn. Darker than Spawn. Think about that. So when people use that as the poster child of dark and gritty and brooding, no. You're going for the huge ass extreme. Darker storyline. Um, you can go Hydra on this, where it's not as clean. Where Pink Ranger, like Gokaiger, one of my favorite episodes of Gokaiger, probably one of my favorites, is an episode where we find out what happened to the Pink Ranger's parents. They died. Her planet was destroyed in front of her, set on fire, and she barely escaped. And the last remnants of her people are out somewhere, she doesn't know where, kept as slaves, and she's only fighting to keep the morale up. That's dark. That's Batman, basically. Like, oh, you got to see your parents killed in front of you, but we take it a step further, but we take your entire planet, your home, all those civilians you cared about, yeah, no, they're either dead or enslaved, and all you can do is run away, and then after that, try to learn to fight, and try to fight back with a team. That's dark. Gold Ranger, the very first Super Sentai. This is how that starts out. Everybody is in their military base in a military branch of their bases, right? And then the villains come in and literally wipe out everyone in that branch except for 5 surviving members. And those 5 become the Gold Rangers to fight this evil. Mostly because they survived the initial attack, they know the most about the enemy, so they're sent after them. That's dark. That is really dark. You open up your series with, yeah, the bad guys came in and wiped out damn near everybody. Like, it's like if you had the Avengers, but instead of 5 heroes coming together, it's like the 5 heroes had worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. They worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. That's how it all started. And then Hydra came in with Loki as the forerunner, came in and killed everyone in S.H.I.E.L.D. but the Avengers members. And then Avengers decided to band together. Those surviving members banded together and decided to go out and fight. That's Gold Ranger. That's Gold Ranger. That's how that begins. Gokaiger, each one of the team members is somebody from a war-torn planet. Is a thief from literally a homeless thief with her dying sister, who's like 5. That shit's dark. Yeah, they may add a comedic spin to it, but that's the beauty of Super Sentai, and that's the beauty of Power Rangers. In Space got dark. With the Psycho Rangers, with some of the dilemmas they got into, they got really dark with the storyline. And they never had to sacrifice what made them them. And if you make it gritty, if you try to make it realistic, which, 1, that's stupid. 2, because think about it, if they made 5 suits, all with the same kind of abilities, wouldn't they just make a bunch of teams of 5 with the exact same abilities, all with robots. Um, because so many people are going, let's make them military and da, da, da. I'm like, no, that doesn't work. It doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Because you're losing all the flavor. It's like you've boiled it down to something generic at that point. But yeah, it's like, oh, let's make them militarized. Don't do that. Don't do that. Militarized? Yeah, okay, no, you can do that, but not with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You can't. And I know somebody's already done that with their Mighty Morphin Power Ranger remake on YouTube. I know that, and I like those guys and I support them, but I still don't think it's a good idea. Um, why? Because with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you have a T-Rex, a saber-toothed tiger, a pterodactyl, a triceratops, and a freaking mammoth. Mammoth as your mascots for the powers. Get a lot of military application out of those animals? I mean, why not? Like, if you did it like with Go-Go 5, they adapted into Lightspeed Rescue, where, yeah, that can be militarized because their suits are very minimalistic. Same with Go Busters, where they were also militarized because their suits were, again, minimalistic. Go Ranger, again, minimalistic, kinda, without the capes. Without the capes, they're very minimalistic, but yeah, with the capes, yeah, they're not very minimalistic. And they went off of the very 5 survivor theme, but still militarized, and they can go off of that. You can go off of it if the suit itself, if Dynaman is explosives. No shit, you can go off of a militarized on that, or Dangy Man, which is all about science. Yeah, you can go off of military shit like that. Their power is science. You could say a science officer created these suits for this one particular team. It's a test run, and they go through it. The Zords. I've heard people say, let's make them more like Transformers. And no, I know what they mean, but they don't mean let's make them like Transformers, as in let's go for that kind of CGI. No, they mean they want it to look like the Transformers, like the Michael Bay Transformers. That's not smart. Let's not say you did, because not not saying that design doesn't work for Transformers. Sometimes it doesn't. Megatron looking like a bunch of knives does not look like Megatron. Um, like if you showed me Megatron from Michael Bay's movies, and all I knew was the '80s cartoons, and you said that's Megatron, I would have been like, no, it's not. Looks nothing like Megatron because he looks like a bunch of knives fell together. But whatever. But yeah, that design aesthetic. I'm like, no, no, it's not. Um, CGI wise, yes. Let's get something on the level of Transformers, CGI wise, for the Megazord. But here's where I draw the line. Keep the design. Keep the style. Keep the look. You can tone down the colors on the suits and on the Zords, but you got to keep the style. You got to keep what makes Power Rangers Power Rangers. Because if you get rid of that, you're not left with much other than an in-name only generic thing about a team of people fighting a monster, which we got a lot of those actually coming up because everyone's trying to copy off of the Avengers, so everyone's making their own teams to fight something now. Justice League is about to come out, which is not right, but whatever. I'm not caring. Um, Let me see. Everybody's like, oh, let's have them bleed instead of the sparks. And from an American standpoint, yes, that's actually a very good concern to have. However, from a Super Sentai standpoint, and I'll explain why I'm bringing in Super Sentai. Okay, Power Rangers wise, I get it. I totally get it. Because you have no idea what the Power Ranger suits are. You don't. Because it's like, they have the Power Rangers. What are they? Powers. So they got powers and weapons, and they got powers. And so it's like, okay, the suits are what? What do they do? What do they change? Because they're still fighting the same way they did before they had their suits, basically. And except for they getting pull weapons out of their ass, basically. Um, while in Super Sentai, it's more the suits actually do something. Like they are they actually do explain this in early Super Sentai. In early Super Sentai, the suits are robotic suits. They are like Iron Man armor, but flexible. And because of budget constraints, they made them out of spandex, and it stuck. Um, the one that shows this the most is not Sun Vulcan, it's Changeman. If you ever go look at Changeman, every time in Changeman, when somebody gets hit and damage really starts piling up, they did this the best. They would have wires start hanging out of their chest, and that was cool. It was to show you, yes, they're wearing robotic suits. That's what happens when they get hit. That spark isn't from no blood, because in Super Sentai, they would show blood. They would show blood a lot. I was surprised about how much they got away with blood in Super Sentai. Um, but the sparks were for the suits, because the suits would be damaged, and then the suits, once the suits were damaged enough, they would come off. They would just like, fuck it, and leave. And so, when that would happen, you would see the characters bleed under the suits. Oh my god. So, for Super Sentai wise, saying, oh, they should bleed, makes no sense. Because in Super Sentai, they explained this shit. They showed this shit. So, yeah. But other than that, I can see why everybody in America is like, oh, let's make them bleed instead of spark. It's like, okay. Again, they just need to explain what the fuck it is. And that's the one thing that they need to do in this Power Ranger reboot. And that's the only thing I really want out of there. They can make it gritty, they can make it dark, they can make it stupid, basically, but because everyone's like, make it more armored, make it less spandex, more armor, make it more armor. You mean like the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie did? They made it more armor, didn't make it stop looking less stupid. And I could be completely wrong. They can come up with a concept artist who makes it amazingly good. I don't know. But, I don't know. But the number one thing, they gotta explain the powers. They just gotta. They can even rip off, like, completely the storyline of Super Sentai and literally say what it is from Super Sentai and just put it here. As long as they explain. If they explain how the suits work, how the powers work, what happens when they get in the suits. Oh my god. Have you seen Bioman? Okay, that's another thing. Super Sentai did such a better job of showing what happens when the people get in the suits versus what is outside them. In like Go Busters, Go Kaiger, not Go Ojan. I don't think Go Ojan. I think Go Ojan. Shinkenger, Bioman. Fuck Bioman. And Bioman and Dairanger. They both did this. When they got in their suits, shit got real. Like, if you watch the first episode of Bioman, when they transform, they are no longer human. They are flying around. When they punch somebody, they go like 20 feet in the air that way and then run into a cliff and then explode. They can chop robots in half. They could punch the freaking head off of a robot like it's nothing. That's what happens when they put on the suits. Dangy Man, suddenly, like, they have like 20 different powers when they put on the suit. It's like they put on the suit, you got the Dangy Punch, which is always awesome. The metal, the tin foil gloves that go like the electric punches, and but a lot of people forget that they have the Dangy Jump, the Dangy Kick, the Dangy Scope, which was he goes Dangy Scope, and like it would show you like a point of view shot of like the Dangy Man's scope, and it would just like show, this character went invisible. Well, now with my Dangy Scope, I can turn things that are invisible visible, and I can see through walls, and I can see super far. They can do a lot of shit basically. Um, they can move faster. They can punch harder. They could transform into other teams like in Gokaiger. In Shinkenger, it was that they could use disc. Their swordsmanship was amped up. Their strength was amped up. Geki Ranger showed this in spades. Like, some of those fights look like Dragon Ball Z fights. Like, Genki Ranger getting like knocked into a parking deck, and then like the parking deck like caves in, like because it's got a crater because of how hard one dude got punched into it, or shit like that, where in Kyoryuger near the end they take a Megazord and try to crush the main villain, like the big bad, and the big bad just grabs it and just is like, bitch, please. Like, or sometimes they'll even establish that guns don't work against the monsters. Like, the monsters will show up, they pull out the guns, they shoot at the monsters are like, what the fuck, and then keep moving. And so that automatically establishes that when they put on the suits, that their punches are more effective than the guns, or at least their lasers are. And I want that. I want that establishment, that what makes these suits better. Power Rangers did this, but not very well, to a point where sometimes people would question why even put on the suits when you can defeat the putties so damn easily from just you using your kung fu from your strip mall, which I'm not gonna bash anybody from that. There were professional martial artists on that set. I'm not gonna do that, but you can take them on with your karate. Why even get in the suits? Like, I kind of liked the fact that later on, and the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that Power Rangers kept going, and especially near before Saban got his hands back onto it, like with RPM, In Space, Dino Thunder, they really started to retcon some of the ideas, some of the well, it's not bad ideas more as mistranslations or mistranslations in the adaptation, basically, because there were things that like when like the not explaining of powers or the explosions behind them, because they didn't explain it because, well, they were just adapting the fight scenes from Zyuranger with voiceovers. They were just taking the fight scenes wholesale and just putting them over there. Well, not wholesale. They edited out all those times they actually used weapons. But well, most of the time at least. So they took out those parts and added other parts for no random reason. I don't know why. Well, no, I do know why. I'm sorry, American audience. And so when there was a lot of things lost in that, like why are they posing? Why are the explosions behind? Why do they announce themselves? Super Sentai has already kind of established why they do all that, and it's cheesy. It's obvious. It's their Superman moment. It's their I am the Knight moment. I am Batman. Or here's Superman. Or like, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. That's their moment. In Super Sentai, them what is now referred to as the henchman roll call, where they transform and then they say like red one, something like that, is with a pose, is their way of doing the Superman is here. No need to fear. Superman is here. It's their way of doing it, but with 5 different people. And how Superman has his puts my hands on my hips and puff out my chest because I'm awesome. And Batman has his I'm brooding. They in turn have their own ways of body language of showing it, but for them, they're fighting. They're doing martial arts. So they do stances, they do poses, they do things that represent the characters through a physical pose. Yes, they are often silly poses, though if you do them, they are kind of fun. I am guilty of doing these, but they're fun and they're silly as shit sometimes. Okay, most times, but there's a reason for them being there. If you give them a reason for being there, that will make things better. I don't want, honestly, I don't want a darker, grittier, shitty, well, no, not shitty, but a very no hope. Zed is evil and people dying everywhere. Yeah, okay. Like I'll be okay with it, but it's not gonna be like woo. I'm not gonna be excited for it. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I saw that coming. It's what everybody wants. Everybody wants the really stupidly dark and gritty. Like for a long time, the fad was make everything that was kid friendly or had its own style back when it was out, like in the 80s and 90s, and then make it super dark and serious and gritty. Arr. I mean, there's even like I think there's even still floating around. I don't know if it's there anymore on YouTube. Go look for it. I'm probably gonna go look for it too. There's a dark and gritty Inspector Gadget trailer. I forgot who did it. I don't know. And it's the funniest shit ever because you're like, it's Inspector Gadget. You're not supposed to make it dark and gritty, but that's the point. You're taking Power Rangers, an American adaptation of Japanese superheroes, and you're trying to make that serious and dark and gritty. Serious, fine. Dark, fine. Gritty? What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, make this dark and gritty. What? Dark is fine. Serious is fine. Go Kaiju did serious. Go Busters did dark. Or actually no, Go Busters did more serious. Because parts of Go Busters, parts of Go Kaiju were very dark, very serious. Hell, Kyoryuger got dark. Tokyuger is starting to kind of get a little dark, as like they're starting to reveal that shit is not as it seems. Like all the fun and happy times are starting to get over. And Kamen Rider, of course, dives into this a lot more than Super Sentai. For those who don't know what that is, it's the older brother of Super Sentai. Um, but yeah, no, I don't want a darker, grittier, Dark Knight Power Rangers movie. No. It's bad enough that we're doing that with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, if you don't know by now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a parody comic. It started out as a parody comic. You know what it was parodying? Daredevil. Trust me, I can go into that, but I'm not gonna. But yeah, it's a parody comic. It wasn't meant to be taken seriously. So them taking it seriously, though not bad, again, not excited to go see it, but yeah, it doesn't look too completely, utterly terrible. It looks serviceable. I am fine with it. I see no reason to bitch about it. It is not directed by Michael Bay, only produced, even though there are rumors that he is going back to do reshoots. Anyway, and this. Let's also look at something else. Last thing, because this is about to go on. This is past 30 minutes now. I'm sorry, rambling so much, but let's get this last thing out of the way. Basically, Lionsgate is taking up Power Rangers. Lionsgate is picking up Power Rangers. Lionsgate. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm probably gonna get some very, 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 very vocal comments about this, but here I'm gonna say it. I kinda was hoping Disney picked it back up. Cause as much as you guys probably don't like the Disney run of Power Rangers, you gotta admit they had better ideas. Because Saban is kind of thrown it out the window. But, not bashing Saban. I'm not. I'm saying this. If you ever go back and look at the backlogs of what Disney was going to do with Power Rangers before doing adaptations of Super Sentai, and I do mean this, there are animated concept art. There's concept art of what what type of Power Rangers they would do animated, like their own, completely original, and it looked really cool. Had a really cool storyline. Like I forgot the storyline, but it looks like it had a good plot synopsis. Not really a storyline, but you get me. They had a really cool idea going with it. They were constrained by, of course, the adaptations and having to just go back and do the Super Sentai again, but with American actors and with American voiceovers and editing out more of the violent parts because they can't do that on American television. I don't know why, but you know, and that was the thing about it. I was like, you know what? Disney had some good original ideas. Hell, I'm almost going to question why even do a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with Lionsgate. Lionsgate, though not a terrible studio, um, not even a bad studio. It's just its track record lately has not been all that good, and I can see why they picked up such a property as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I can see it. No, like business wise, oh hell yeah, I can see it. I can see why. Their track record hasn't been as good as it used to be, and they really do need a boost. And yeah, why not? But this is I I feel like this is a make or break moment, and I would usually let me say this now. Last Airbender and Dragon Ball Evolution, those two movies ruined my optimism forever, forever. Because with Last Airbender, I thought, hey, Shyamalan hasn't had a good movie. He's going to do everything in his power to make it good. Hell, these two actors are known for being side characters in other movies. The two who played Katara and Sokka. And you know what? They'll bring it out because they want it. They're gonna want it bad enough. Boy, was I wrong. And then, of course, Dragon Ball Evolution. I was like, oh, dude, come on. It has Chow Yun Fat. It has Stephen Chow is behind the camera. Stephen Chow made, like, Shaolin Soccer and Kung Fu Hustle for you Americans. No, I'm playing. We're all Americans here. But he made Shaolin Soccer and Kung Fu Hustle. And then they turned it from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Evolution. And Stephen Chow dropped out of the project. And I was like, well, still be good. Just like the trailer looked pretty okay. Sure, there's no Krillin or Tien or Chaozu or anybody else who actually matters in the storyline of Dragon Ball, but you know what? Hey, Yamcha and Bulma are there, and Piccolo, who wasn't Goku's first villain, and when he was yeah. But hey, you know what? They're getting some of it right. And then we all know what happened with Dragon Ball Evolution. I don't even have to go into that one. But those two ruined my optimism because I would say, hey, Lionsgate is a hungry studio. It's really trying to earn back its name. With Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, here's its chance to do it. It's not going to fuck it up because, hey, this is their one shot, their big chance. And right when I say that, I'm going to stick by. Usually I would stick by that and keep at that. But the last two times I did that, we ended up with Dragon Ball Evolution and Last Airbender. Fuck. So, I don't know what to say. I will wait until there is a cast, a crew, a cast, hopefully with me in it. Hopefully. Please. A crew, a script, synopsis, trailer, and once we get to the trailer, that's when all things must come to an end, basically. I'm holding my judgment because one, I might be on the cast, so yeah. But no, probably not. I'll try my best to be on the cast. I'm not going to guarantee shit. No. If you've had the last 2 weeks I've had, which have been like kicks in the balls, yeah, no, I'm not gonna bank on me getting on that cast. But other than that, yeah, no, I can't say anything. It's just an announcement. I can only say I really hope they don't make a wrong turn on this and try to make it the Dark Knight, which it isn't. It's like Man of Steel. You try to make Superman dark and gritty and realistic when Superman is not dark, gritty, nor realistic. You could put him in realistic situations, like when a hero stops trying to be a hero, or when does the old ways fall out in a new world, like, Superman versus the Elite, or anything like that. But other than that, no, you don't make Superman real dark and gritty and realistic. It doesn't work with the character. So with Power Rangers, I'm saying don't make it dark, gritty, and realistic. It doesn't work with the characters. Just don't do it. It's not a good idea. I know it's a tempting idea, but don't do it. You can make it dark. You can make it serious. You can do a lot of stories with dark and serious with Power Rangers. I am not knocking that. But once you say gritty and realistic and try to push that in there, that's when you're not going to actually get a good movie. You're going to probably start getting a generic bottle of mush with vague things that kind of recognize with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and oh my god, that might be it. I gotta go.